Hi and welcome to episode number 2, Charging Your Electric Vehicle. Where and how I charge my batteries when I'm driving around town. How would I travel and plan trips if it takes hours to recharge? What about when I go to the lake or other remote area? These are probably some of the most common questions I get about electric car ownership, and these are all very legitimate questions and important considerations when considering purchasing a new electric vehicle. Making the decision to switch from a gas or ICE car, which uses gasoline as fuel, to one that uses only electricity as fuel, so I'm not including a hybrid here, is a big decision, especially if it's the only car you might have access to. There are a lot of considerations, but the routine of keeping the car fueled is one of the more important concerns and one that can cause a lot of anxiety. What you need to know about recharging an electric car is the answer isn't as straightforward as where you find a gas station, for example, for your ICE vehicle. You first have to ask the question, how will you be driving the car? Will I be driving it mostly for commuting? Will I be taking long trips? Will I need the car to bring me to the lake or other remote areas? If you're going to be using the car just primarily for in-city driving, say to and from work, or driving the kids around town, the answer is a little bit simpler. Because the vast majority of EV owners have chargers at home. This way they can just plug in overnight, or while the car is sitting in the garage or on the driveway, and always have a full charge. Let's take a moment and let this sink in. Imagine if you could have a safe and vapor-free gas station, for example, that costs you pennies on the dollar and is right in your garage. Imagine whenever you go to use your car or truck, the gas tank is always full. This is a convenience that can't be ignored. It's a huge benefit of being an EV owner with a home charger installed that you can access whenever you want. Now, what if you're like thousands of EV owners who don't have a convenient place to charge, for example, at home? Let's say you live in a condo or an apartment complex that doesn't provide easy access to charging. There are now superchargers and destination chargers all over that provide easy ways of charging your batteries and are often free of charge. You may also be able to charge while you're at work. All you need are regular power outlets to plug into while the car is parked for the day. This can add 30 to 60 kilometers during a workday. That's more than most people commute. So you can see how you can easily add charge while the car is just sitting for you, waiting for you to go home. Now, what if you were planning to do a long distance drive? Well, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated. Before discussing this, we need to look at the different types of chargers, different types of connectors, and the different rates of charge. There are essentially 3 types of chargers, and they're divided up into levels. Level 1 is the lowest voltage, therefore the lowest power and the slowest charge, but they are available pretty much everywhere. This is a regular power outlet, 110 volts in North America or 220 volts in Europe. The maximum power of a level 1 charger is about 1.9 kilowatts at 20 amps, and a bit more in Europe, and charges at about 7 kilometers an hour. I've used these to charge at houses other than mine, at commercial buildings, using block heater plugs, including while being at the airport. This is a good point, actually. While I'm away for a week or more at the airport, my car is filling up and charging. This is a great benefit, especially in the winter, where the battery can be nice and full when you come back to the car. Of course, it also means that you can preheat your car without any impact on the battery, which is wonderful during the winter and helps keep it clear of snow and ice as well. A level 2, also known as a destination charger, would be a higher 240 volts, usually at 60 amps or higher current, and outputs a power of about 20 kilowatts or higher. The rate of charge depends on the power, but the typical speeds when charging, I'll get between 30 kilometers an hour and 70 kilometers an hour charge from a level 2. The type of charger you install in your home can be anything from level 1 to level 2 charging. I installed a destination charger in my garage using an output capable of 60 amps, 240 volts, and charges my car at a rate of 70 kilometers an hour. Level 3 chargers, or also known as superchargers, have enormous power capabilities and can deliver between 50 kilowatts all the way up to 300 kilowatts. This means they can recharge your car at anywhere from 100 kilometers an hour to 1,000 kilometers an hour. Electric cars are just beginning to gain momentum and popularity, and recharging technology and networks are in their infancy. This means that there's still a massive amount of variability between superchargers, depending on the network they're on the local utilities company, and the charging capabilities of your car, because your car will actually automatically limit the amount of charge rate. Tesla, as an example, has come out with version 3 of their supercharger, the latest of their supercharging technology. This is a water-cooled technology which is built right into the connector and provides up to 250 kilowatts of charging. Your electric car has built-in limitations for how fast it will allow a supercharger to charge its batteries. This is for safety reasons. Recharging at such rapid rates creates an enormous amount of heat and can potentially damage the batteries if protections weren't in place. Using the water-cooled version 3 Tesla supercharger with a Model 3 car, you can get the max 250 kilowatts of charge, or about 1,000 kilometers an hour, under optimal conditions. This means charging 30% battery charge to 80% in about 25 minutes. This is a game changer for electric car owners who are planning long-distance trips. Now you can stop to recharge, and in the time it takes you to have a coffee and go to the washroom, your batteries are done charging and you're ready to continue your journey. My car gets a range close to 500 kilometers fully charged. This means that after 2 to 3 hours driving, when I'm ready to stop and stretch my legs anyway, I can quickly charge and be on my way again. So with a bit of planning, long trips really aren't a problem. This is where an electric car with a decent range comes into play, and is an important consideration when deciding on the type of electric vehicle you want to purchase. When considering charging, it's also important to understand the different standards for connecting. These depend on the networks providing the charger and on the EV you own. It also depends on whether you're discussing level 1, 2, or 3 charging. Let's look at level 1 charging first. Essentially, most EVs come with an adapter to go from level 1 to the car. This is either a 3-pronged outlet for the country you're in, or a NEMA 14-50 type connector, like you'd see with a clothes dryer. There isn't much worry here about compatibility because it's a simple plug-in charge. However, level 2 destination chargers is where we start to see different standards. Essentially, there are J1772 type connectors, which is almost all EVs, except Tesla, and the Tesla charger. Tesla very generously includes the J1772 adapter to be able to use almost all destination chargers. Most superchargers use one of 3 connectors: a CCS, or a combined charging format, that uses both Type 1 and Type 2 and allows space for DC charging up to 200 amps. This is the most common standard in EVs in Europe, which also, by the way, includes Tesla, where Model 3s come with CCS charging. In North America, Tesla uses its own supercharging standard, and other EVs use either CCS or CHAdeMO. CHAdeMO is predominantly in North America and is becoming less and less common. It actually is possible to purchase a CHAdeMO to Tesla adapter, but it's a massive contraption and quite expensive. So I've decided that it's not worth it, for me at least, especially now since there are more and more Tesla chargers. So to summarize, if you own a Tesla in North America, you can use a level 1 charger with the provided adapter, level 2 with either Tesla or provided J1772 adapter, or supercharger on the Tesla network with a Tesla. connector. In Europe, it's identical, except your Tesla will charge using CCS on any CCS network. If you own another EV in North America, chances are you're using J1772 for a destination charger and CCS for Supercharger. Charging an electric car or truck definitely does require more planning at the moment, because the networks still are not yet as extensive as gas stations are. But this is changing rapidly. The US now has an extensive supercharging network thanks to companies like Tesla and Volkswagen, although Volkswagen was more of a punishment for Dieselgate. But they did end up investing heavily in their networks. Tesla has an extensive network running from coast to coast, and Volkswagen, through Electrify America, has spent about $2 billion in their supercharging network. Apart from Tesla and Electrify America, there are dozens of private networks.
One big one is ChargePoint. So when we arrive at the charging station, they actually do have an app, or you can use something called Plugshare, which gives you a summary of all the different chargers and all the different networks. You can see here a list of the different types of charging connections and all the different networks. So ChargePoint is one of them here, but there are dozens. So if we click on where we are now, you can see there's a Supercharger not too far away, which is depicted in orange, and then there's where we are right now, which is a destination charger, and it tells you the location, and it says the connector, J1772. If you click on it, more information, you'll see here it tells you the location, it tells you the cost, and it tells you the opening hours, and it usually gives you some directions as well. It'll tell you the type of connector and how many stations are available and the network that the stations belong to. So you can see here also a nice little extra for Plugshare that I like is that they allow you to check in. And so you can see before you even plan to stop at the charger, you can see if somebody else is already checked in. And of course it's based on the honor system. But it's very useful, especially on a long trip. If you're depending on a charger, Plugshare will actually tell you if there's somebody occupying one of the spots. This is a part of the ChargePoint network. There are these scattered all over different cities in North America. And if you look on the screen, you can see here it'll tell you what the cost is and what the approximate kilowatt hours that it'll provide and the location. In order to use it, we have to identify ourselves, so I just use the app, which is on my phone. They also provide a card that can go on a keychain. But if I tap here, you'll see the icon comes on, and I just use my thumb. It'll auto-identify, and now you see it's authorized my card. It tells me one port is available, and now I can pull it out. Now you'll notice if you look at the tip, a 1772, and fortunately I have a J1772 adapter that snaps on, and now I could just plug in and come and look at the screen here. It's waiting for the vehicle, and in a few seconds it's going to tell me how many kilowatts it's providing and how much charge I have, and here the number of kilowatts. So the happy face tells me that it is beginning to charge, and now that you see the kilowatt is coming up, and this one will go up to 5 kilowatts, which will take several hours to charge my battery. And now you can see we've reached our 5.88 kilowatt hours, which is as fast as this will charge.
So there are a number of apps to help keep all of these networks and different plugs and level of chargers completely straight. So you can get help. One of them is
the Tesla navigation screen, which is available right when you hit navigate in your car. But I'm using a desktop, so you can see the website simulates exactly what you would see in the car. It'd be something like this. So you can see the network of superchargers is quite extensive throughout North America. And you can see now that there's superchargers which have recently, as of just 2 weeks ago, been switched on by Tesla right across Canada. Now the Trans-Canada Highway has superchargers every 100 to 200 kilometers all the way along the highway, all across the Trans-Canada, from the west coast all the way to the east coast of Canada. Now this is an absolute game changer for Canadian EV owners, because now you can literally travel from Halifax, Nova Scotia, all the way across the Trans-Canada to Vancouver and Victoria. And so this has been a complete game changer, and that's only occurred in the last couple of weeks. And superchargers are popping up faster than new apps. Basically, they're popping up everywhere. So you can see in the United States, there's a huge density of superchargers all along the West Coast, of course, along in California, but also the East Coast, Eastern Seaboard is completely littered with them. Where they become a little more sparse is sort of central northern United States or central Canada. However, now with the Trans-Canada being populated all the way through, as I said, this is an absolute game changer for traveling on long distance journeys. Now, if we zoom in on any one of these areas, you'll begin to see different types of chargers. So in red, you can see the superchargers or DC chargers, and in black, you can see the destination chargers. And then the gray is our superchargers, which are under construction. Now, if you want to get some more information about any of these locations, you can click on the supercharger. It tells you the name of it. It'll tell you how many superchargers are available. So if somebody plugs in, you'll see that one less spot will become available. You can see the hours of operation and the level of charge, or the charge rate. So this is a version 3 type supercharger, so it's the fastest one available. And right now there are 6 spots available. That's great if you have a Tesla, but what if you have another type of an electric vehicle? An app that I find super useful is an app called Plugshare. So Plugshare is basically everything. In fact, you can filter just by clicking on the different filters. You can see all the different compatible plugs that are selected. So if we, for example, take away Tesla, so we would take away this supercharger, we would take away Tesla, and then we're left with CHAdeMO, CCS, and then we'll leave out the level 1 chargers. But you can see here there's still an extremely extensive network all over North America, with networks that are other than Tesla. So if you want to look at the differences, you can see here green is a destination charger, and orange is a supercharger. But if you see here, it has a picture of a tool on it, which means it's still under construction. So if we click on one that is already up and running, information will pop up about it, where you can see the type of connector it is. So CCS and CHAdeMO. And then you can see the address and the location, how to get there. You can see the hours of operation, and you can see the level of charge, or the rate of charge here. So 200 kilowatt hours with the CCS connector, and up to 100 kilowatt hours with the CHAdeMO. In addition, it'll tell you how many stations. So there are 2 stations of each connector, and you can see who is checked in. The other thing that's nice is that it'll also show you the types of networks that are available. You can see here it shows you all the different networks, and we can filter. For example, if we only want, I guess I could have just selected toggle all. If we only want charge point, we can just deselect everything else, and then you'll see here only charge point chargers. Now you can see here there's a couple of new networks. One of them is Petro-Canada, which is a gas station available pretty much all over Canada. If we take away, well, let's leave ChargePoint and then we'll include Petro-Canada. You can see here the network is quite extensive now in Canada and the United States. So we've got chargers all the way across now Canada. And don't forget, these are only for charge stations for CCS and CHAdeMO. Finally, I had mentioned lake properties. What do you do if you're going to be bringing your vehicle to a remote area? If you're like a huge number of Canadians that bring your vehicles to the lake on the weekend, there are now probably superchargers or destination chargers very close by. Within 30 or 40 kilometers, you should be able to charge. But you can also charge with a level 1 charger, as I mentioned before, which would be even closer and probably right on your property. Just plug in your car at a regular outlet, and even at 7 kilometers an hour, this means that after a day, you've probably got enough charge to get back to another supercharger or to a destination charger, or to get back to your home. The bottom line, EVs are developing rapidly. The charging networks and the chargers that are on them are developing just as quickly. I believe we've now reached a turning point in North America, somewhere where Europe has been for some time now, where concerns about where you charge your vehicle should no longer be preventing anyone from purchasing an electric vehicle. Regardless of your intended use, EVs are now more affordable, require very little maintenance, and have a multitude of convenient options for charging. This has been Edward with Electron Transport. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe below and hit the bell so you're notified about any new episodes that are uploaded.